I concede, I am slowly running out of things to discuss when it comes to this particular kind of video, but every time I think I'm out of stuff, I always think of something else. And in this case, Jurassic Park the game. Which game? There's a lot of games in this franchise, and true, but the one I'm specifically talking about was by Telltale. And I remember being very excited for it when it was announced, and after a bit of a delay, it finally came out in 2011. Initially, I got it for my Xbox 360, though I do also have it on Steam, which is good, as Telltale went bankrupt, and now pretty much all their games are delisted, so, yeah, it's hard to get them anymore. But I do have it, and I played it on release, and I've played it a couple times since then, just to give it another chance, because, guys, I don't like it. It has its moments, it does. The story takes place during the events of the original film, except dealing with different characters that are also on the island. And it's an interesting take on the lore, but a lot of the decisions I'm not wild about. A lot of the character arcs I didn't agree with, and it just, yeah, it was okay, I guess, in a certain light, but I was kind of disappointed with it, I was, and it did receive mixed reviews from critics on release. It doesn't help that, true to Telltale-style games, it isn't really much of a game. It's got puzzles, sure, but it's more of a point-and-click adventure-type game with a lot of quick-time events, and if you don't like quick-time events, you're gonna hate every waking moment of this experience. But some people do stand by it. In terms of its place in the canon, well, Colin Trevorrow has gone on record when asked directly about it, because originally the game was supposed to be in canon with the series. He considers it soft canon, which is generally code for, we might take some of the stuff from it, but it's not really a priority in their overall storytelling, which goes to show how much people generally care about this game anymore. But regardless of any of this, they did include some new species in the game that hadn't been seen in the movies at all. And since it was supposed to be in canon at least, and is still a part of the franchise either way, I think it's worth discussing the inaccuracies of the new species, of which there are many, many, many of those. In fact, well, no, I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it, because we're about to talk about it anyway. Same rules apply as always, and these are Jurassic Park the game dinosaurs, rated from least to most accurate. Troodon. Ugh. You know, okay, some people like these things, I'm gonna stress that word, things, as they are a good horror movie monster. Some people did find them pretty scary, and that's fair. But as accurate renditions of a type of dinosaur, they leave a lot to be desired. And I actually view them as probably the most inaccurate take on any creature in the entire series. And I mean that. I know that's a pretty bold statement in the face of Velociraptor, and I get your point, because they at least thought to add the proto-feathering on the backs of them, which is a nice touch, I suppose. But my first issue with them is the name, Troodon. I have been over this in its own video, and I'm gonna go over it again now. I don't care how many clickbait articles you write, people, stop saying that Troodon is a thing. It is not a species of dinosaur. Heck, it may not even be a genus of dinosaur, as it is a former wastebasket taxon, and it's viewed as a dubious genus at best, based only off of a single tooth. And people keep saying, oh, Troodon is the smartest dinosaur ever. Which one? Because Troodontidae is a clade of bird-like theropod dinosaurs, but that encompasses multiple different species. A whole bunch. Are they all that smart? Like, which one are you referring to when you say that Troodon's the smartest one? Because even if we were gonna accept Troodon formosus as a valid species, and we don't at the moment, because again, single tooth, how are you gonna take a single tooth and say, yeah, this was probably the smartest dinosaur? Like, it's just a tooth. You can't judge intelligence off of a tooth. But it gets worse with these things, because they just call them Troodon, but they are not Troodon formosus. No, see, in canon, they refer to them as Troodon pectinodon, which is real funny, because pectinodon is a genus, not a species name. Pectinodon backeri is a single valid species under the genus. It is also known only from teeth, which seems to be a running theme so far. But the point is they didn't even combine Troodon with a species name. They combined it with Pectinodon, another genus name. So it's genus, not genus species. Like, look, this is basic biology classifications. I don't know how you messed this up. Because at least if they had called it Troodon backeri, sometimes people will call Pectinodon Troodon. It's not considered right, but it does happen on occasion. And back in the 90s, they did classify it under Troodon as Troodon backeri, back when Troodon was viewed as a valid genus. But they definitely never called it Troodon Pectinodon, because again, genus. But it's all me just getting hung up on the naming issue. Because, frankly, I don't know what these are, but they aren't Troodons. These things from the ground up were built to be a movie monster. Without any question, they might as well have been hybrids. They are viewed as intelligent as the film version of Velociraptor, and they have these weird bulbous eyes that are highly reflective and appear to glow at night. Their wrists are pronated because of course they are. I don't know what you expected. I don't even know why I keep bringing it up. That is small potatoes compared to everything else. But the most defining characteristic is their venomous bite. Their venom is particularly potent, and it causes serious hallucinations, and unless treated with a powerful tranquilizer, it will cause the victim to convulse and suffer from seizures, leading to paralysis and eventual brain death. The Troodons would bite and then just wait for their victim to succumb to the venom. But if the Troodon was about to lay eggs, this would get more horrifying. Instead of killing the victim, they would wait for them to be paralyzed, and then rip them open while still alive, laying their eggs inside the victim. It's gruesome and scary, which I'll give it credit for in terms of that, but as you can imagine, there's no fossil evidence for literally any of this. And the reason I view them as the most inaccurate dinosaur in the whole of the franchise, at least out of every single thing I've talked about so far, is because, at the very least, Velociraptor is a valid genus. Like, they're too big. Yeah. But Velociraptor is a thing. Troodon isn't a valid genus. Troodon today is a clade, but not a genus. And Troodon Pectinodon definitely isn't a valid species. They're entirely made up, to a degree only rivaled in the series by the literal hybrids. So I guess what I'm saying is this. If you're looking for a scary movie monster, the Troodons in Jurassic Park the game definitely do the job. If you're looking for an accurate fossil record, they're the absolute worst in that regard. Tylosaurus. Not a dinosaur, aquatic reptile. You probably already knew that, but I wanted to clarify, and if I didn't talk about it, you'd yell, so here we are. Technically speaking, Tylosaurus is a mosasaur. They do fall under the family of Mosasauridae, as well as the clade of Mosasauria. But unlike the mosasaur that we know from the Jurassic World side of the series, Tylosaurus doesn't fall under the genus of Mosasaur. Tylosaurus is its own genus. And at the time, the animal's inclusion was a big deal. Mind you, the game came out before Jurassic World, so the inclusion of an aquatic reptile wasn't something the series had tried before, at least when it came to movie canon. There were a few in comics and such, but nothing like this. And the Tylosaurus was an intimidating beast, no question. It's not very accurate, but it's better than the Troodon, so yeah. An outdated feature of this animal's design is a row of spikes running down the neck to the upper back, which is a stylistic choice that paleo artists back in the 1800s would have used. It's not accurate anymore. The animal also lacks a tail fluke, and has another row of spikes covering its tail, which again, no. The skull is also wrong. It's too short. Tylosaurus has a pretty long snout, and this animal's doesn't. And the jaws aren't straight, which is probably again more of a cool design choice rather than anything else. There's a lot of that going into this game, as you can see. And yeah, I've gotten a few comments lately, yeah, but in canon they're clones, so there's difference. I understand the canon explanation, I do. But I'm also trying to explain the differences between this and, like, the actual paleontological record. You know? So, like, just because there's an in-universe explanation for a lot of this, isn't going to stop me from pointing out the differences. Now, I've got on record saying that Jurassic Park is my favorite movie ever. Like, I love this series. I am not coming from a place of hate. Anywho, but yeah, the animal is not particularly accurate, but it's not so wrong that it offends me. It's not Troodon. Herrerasaurus. This game and I are about to have words, because Herrerasaurus is actually one of my favorite dinosaurs, and this depiction of them is, okay, the best out of all the new animals, but that says nothing. They're still not right. For one thing, they display somewhat coordinated pack hunting behavior, which is... Look, it's debated whether even Velociraptor was capable of that, and Velociraptors, in actuality, probably would have been smarter than Herrerasaurs. Herrerasaurs as a genus dates back to the late Triassic period. They are a much older dinosaur, and it's believed where intelligence was concerned, they were probably a little bit dim. Not so dim that they couldn't survive, obviously, but Velociraptor was probably smarter, and therefore more likely to have pack hunting behavior. But Herrerasaurs seem to just behave like the Jurassic Park version of Velociraptor, pretty much, which I don't think would be quite right, and their design is all over the place. They're prone to risks, but you knew that already, and they walk in a really weird hunchbacky sort of way. Like look at this. Why? What? I don't know why they did it this way. I don't even think it looks cooler. It makes them look dopier. They gave them square heads, which that part is fairly right, but also their size. These animals are too small. A fully grown Herrerasaur could have been as long as 20 feet, which is bigger than even the Jurassic Park version of Velociraptor. Yet in the game, they're smaller than the Velociraptors, so I don't know what's going on here. I guess you could argue they're juveniles, which is an excuse that's used often enough, so fine. But yeah, I wasn't really thrilled about them. I guess the scene they're in is pretty exciting. In fact, a lot of the game scenes can be considered a little exciting. Don't get me wrong, it has its moments, I just didn't really care for it. Although, since I do own it, I guess I'm one of the chosen few that can still play this game easily. So if you want to see me play it on the channel, leave a comment down below and let me know. And with that, a special thank you goes out to my Apex Predators, Arthur Roy, Metal for Life Guy, and Dr. Racer78. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fun farewell.